dealing with maps and GIS and exhibits anyway in the post-COVID-19 era, we have a lot of static, animated, and interactive maps in our exhibits that are throughout. And unfortunately, when it comes to interactive maps, that requires now constant sanitation of the exhibits once they're open to the public, and that's just not practical. And I'm going to go through some of what we're working on here. Now we've got this particular map is an interactive map in our Geology, Gems, and Minerals Hall, and this map is actually on the web as well, so that helps. So if we shut it off in the GGM hall, that's not so much of a problem. And in addition to that, we also have this animated map that's in the exhibits hall that shows much the same thing in terms of earthquakes and volcanoes around the world. And that one again is like the other one, also online. So people who come through and use their phones, they can see certain things online. Of course, not everybody's going to bring their phone to visit exhibits, I would think. But nonetheless, they are available for people to view virtually. Then we have a number of static maps that's showing the same sort of thing, and as well as a number of other things going on. And so you can see this sort of thing. So you can get enough information without actually having interaction. And lastly, this one static map, which is still available for download, and the most recent edition is from 2006, showing volcanoes and earthquakes and plate boundaries and whatnot around the world. Moving over to the Ocean Hall, where we've got over 50 maps, there we've got a number of issues that come up. First, we've got the Science on a Sphere, which is an animated 3D animation on a sphere produced by NOAA, and that works out quite nicely. There's no touching that has to be done. Just the animation repeats continually. You can fit about 24 people in the room comfortably, probably less in the COVID era, but nonetheless, that's not something that has to be adjusted. In addition to that, we have a number of 3D maps around the Ocean Hall, but one of the things that we've got as a concern in the Ocean Hall is this one 3D map that I've got in the background there, and then in the brass molding that's in front of it, showing the same stripe that goes from the Mid-Atlantic down across the Caribbean trench, and Puerto Rican trench, that is, into the Caribbean. And what people do is they often feel the trench with their hands, or feel the entire thing with their hands, and now it's going to have to be covered in plexiglass. But then we also have a variety of static maps showing invasive species. You don't really need to have animation showing that, but we do have animated maps in the exhibit, and this is just an animated map of the conveyor belt of the cold and warm currents around the world. And then there's a number of static maps such as this one showing whale migrations on the East Coast, cultures around the North Pacific Ocean, national parks in our marine parks in Hawaii and Florida, and then gravitometry maps showing where the asteroid landed on the coast of Yucatan, as well as chlorophyll upwelling throughout the world, in these two examples off Peru and California. Moving over to the American Indian Museum, we've got the Great Inca Road exhibit, where we've got a number of static maps plus a Google Earth fly-through, and one animated and one interactive thing that I'll show you. That exhibit was supposed to close this spring, but it's still open now with limited people coming in. Here we've got a number of maps that I created for the entire empire, Tiwanaku, as well as the cultures preceding, early Cusco Valley, the expansion of the empire, 4 regions of the empire. And then moving down, Pizarro's Roots of Invasion. But then we have created, not by me, but by these guys from Spain, this who are archaeological architects, created this 3D rendition of the city of Cusco as it existed when it was first visited by the Spanish, and it was basically at that time Cusco was in the shape of a puma with the head over there on the left. Well, what we got in association with that is this touch table, which up to 6 people at a time can interact with it. Unfortunately, having 6 people at a time interacting with a touch table means a lot of cleaning. I don't work at the American Indian Museum, so I'm not sure what their plans are in terms of the touch table. But whether they're going to have a constant cleaner there, or they're going to have some sort of hand people gloves to do the interactions, I'm not sure. Moving again to a different museum, the Sackler Asian Art Gallery. We got this 9-foot wide map that I produced showing the journey of Haicho, a South Korean monk who traveled around Eastern and Southern Asia. And then there's associated pictures with each site that he visited. And we've got 2 kiosks. You can't see them behind this stand that's between where I was standing and the far map. But the 2 kiosks, you can barely see them. Basically discuss, as you touch on each one, each picture, it'll highlight it on the map and the part of the exhibit. The Haicho's journey has there's an interactive thing online that you can go to, and I can provide that that particular link to anybody who's interested. It was developed by students from the University of Michigan. Okay, back over to natural history, we had the Outbreak exhibit, and here we've got in ProMed's interactive health map. And unfortunately, this is one exhibit where it's extremely important to show how science is so important. So we're going to have to box off this part of the exhibit, or we're going to put in an animated, constantly updated, or once a day updated, animated set of maps for the from the health map, because you can't have people interacting without somebody standing there and cleaning up the kiosks. In addition, we've got some static maps showing the range of infectious Spanish flu in Alaska, plus this one animated map showing the spread of the SARS around the world, and that works quite nicely. And if we can go that route for other things, that works as well. Down the deep time hall, we've got some static maps we can see at the top, but we also have a number of I think it's 6 or 7 paleo era maps that the people come over and they look at and they basically lean on and such. So we have to have those covered in plexiglass. But in addition, we've got this North American dinosaurs collection map showing all dinosaur collection localities from every museum, not just the Smithsonian, across North America with the geological outcrops. And this map is very conveniently located near the restrooms, so people, after they put their hands across the plexiglass on the static image, they can go in and wash their hands in the restrooms, so to speak. Lastly, I've got the Hall of Mammals that we're working on an update for. Esri has offered to create a story map connecting the species display with collections database, photographs, 3D maps of the flora and exhibit. And that's just getting started this week. And so stay tuned on that. And that's as much as I have to talk about.
Thank you, Dan. I'll check Slack, see if there are any questions. Oh, there is a question. From Lily Houtman, we have, for tactile maps that would have to be cleaned, are there also options to view those maps online, maybe through a QR code?
Yes, a lot of our maps have been scanned and will be available online, but basically it's a matter of a curator associated with that map to want it to be scanned, or a request comes in from, maybe out of the public, where I can put in the request for it to be scanned. We don't have a map librarian at the Smithsonian, and we don't have an official map archive. We do have an unofficial map archive that has been developed by a lot of our volunteers over the years, and we've got some 60,000 maps in the archive.